Welcome back to Civil Discourse Now. I'm Mark Small.
I'm Paul Ogden.
We are shooting in Broad Ripple today on a cloudy October 20th, 2012, with our live audience here.
I don't know if they're live or not.
Yes, they are.
Those would be sound effects, Mark.
No, they're not sound effects, and they're an excellent audience. They're loyal followers of the show and questioners of authority and all sorts of stuff. We talked last segment about the debate. It's not a Senate debate. It's a debate between candidates for United States Senate from Indiana. Just like the presidential debates. It's not a presidential debate. It's not really a debate.
And I didn't tell you my scoring, but it's totally based on the radio.
How'd you score?
I would put Murdoch ahead of Donnelly and Horning third.
Okay.
But
did you ever debate in high school? Did you ever debate in college? Did you ever judge around a debate?
I guess
what do you know about debate? Can you spell debate?
I have a vote equal to yours, so Mark. And that's what's important.
Not in 2.5 weeks. You won't.
I won't.
No, you've already voted.
I've already voted. The little known fact is you can actually, if you early vote, you can still go to the polls and vote. It cancels out your early vote.
I know that.
Yeah. So if you change your mind, you can actually. People don't realize it.
I saw that. I saw it on TV last night. You were watching Reverend Al last night.
I did not know that. I would think it depends on state to state, though. Indiana.
Individual states have different voting laws.
Right.
I watched the debate between the three candidates. It was you talking
about? We did have a gubernatorial debate, but we didn't. I haven't had a chance to watch it.
Paul hasn't watched it. I did. I thought John Katzenberger did an excellent job as moderator.
And I would dispute you on that because I know John very well, and I'm sure that he did a terrible job.
But We're not going to discuss a debate both of us haven't seen.
Yeah. Plus, he owes me a beer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
John, you owe Paul a beer.
Right.
The presidential debate, of course, there's a lot of hype for it because of how badly President Obama did in the first one.
I thought that was exaggerated, too. I didn't think Obama did that badly in the first one. I mean, he got killed in the coverage afterwards.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
This one started, and it was a town hall. First of all, it's not a debate. It kind of morphed into it at one point. Mm-hmm. But unless there's, in the format, there's provision for cross-examination of one's opponent, I don't think it counts as a debate.
Right.
Because you've got to be able to put your opponent's feet to the fire.
And part of the problem with these debates, not so much in this debate, but some of the other ones, is they have such a limited time to respond.
Oh,
like 30 seconds to respond.
Now this one was like 2 minutes, but like the gubernatorial debates, you have 30 seconds to respond to that. Yes. No. In one word, tell us what you're going to do for the economy. Bankrupt. Good. Venezuela. Aruba. No, but both candidates had agreed to the format beforehand through their seconds.
Yeah, I'd say. That's their seconds. I like it.
Yeah.
That's sort of what they do with a duel.
Code duello.
Code duello.
But so you've got this round forum where people have submitted questions, and the moderator chooses the questions and the individuals to ask them. And so the first question was from a college student. It was about jobs. I thought Romney's response was interesting. He said, I presume I'm going to be president. And he will keep student loans, but he hadn't read his platform because actually the platform calls for cutting Pell Grants by almost in half. And then Obama came back and said he gave up on Detroit, and that was where he came through with his first zinger of the night, that Governor Romney has a 5-point plan. It's really only a 1-point plan. Give it to the 1%. And then I thought
what was the comment on Detroit?
That Romney had given up on Detroit. He gave up on Detroit. But then I thought it was interesting at the end, and this is what happened in the first debate. Romney would say, "No, wait a second now. He got the last word, but I had the first question, and so and it was kind of like double talk on.
But they're going back and forth. I have no idea who gets the last word.
But after a while, it became something where he was really quibbling about the debate rules, and he was always wanting to get the last word in. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was distracting, but also it made him.
But according to the CNN clock, Obama had more time.
And actually, interesting point. Obama had more time in the first debate when Romney scored so well. So
Right.
I don't, and they didn't complain about the time then.
I think in every debate so far, the Democrats have had more time. That shows me the media's biased.
Oh, no, the media are biased. It's a
Are
plural.
biased. I'm sorry.
But I thought that was interesting at the end where he was saying, no, and then Candy Crawley said, wait a second, Governor, your time is up. We're moving on to the next question, and you can devote time in answering the next question to what you wanted to address there. And I thought that was kind of an interesting thing there. And then there's the question.
And part of the problem is when they give them the time limit, it's not so much this debate, like the 30 seconds. They always go over it because you can't answer a question in 30 seconds.
And in competitive debate, there's an easy rule for it. The judge stops listening. In these debates, they could have switches on the mic and just mute them. And so if the
I'm
person...
surprised they haven't gone to that.
And they should. I mean, that way you really kind of... Either that or they could put electric grids under their feet and just shock them.
Or you could do what they do with the Academy Awards and start playing music.
Yeah, and have somebody... That's a good one.
Yeah.
There'd be an angle, though, somebody figure out the music they were playing. It was Elton John.
Yeah.
And everybody knows that he's left wing. Well, no, he played at Rush Limbaugh's wedding. So anyway, the next question was about Secretary of Energy. Is his job to make sure that we have lower gas prices?
That was interesting.
And that was interesting when Romney said, well, tell me, how many grants have you canceled, or something like that, to Obama? How many?
That was a good exchange, I thought.
Yeah, but
We actually learned something. I learned something. They've not been drilling on federal oil as much, but some of these oil companies were squatting on the federal lands and not drilling. And so Obama said, well, you're not just going to hold this into perpetuity. You either drill or you get off. And so he canceled several. So there's an explanation.
Yeah, but what Romney was wanting to do is ask the classic question, yes or no, do you still beat your wife?
Yeah.
I mean, answer, how many did you, I didn't, we've had a net gain. So it was an unfairly posed question, and that again was where Romney was pressuring him and trying to take control of the debate. And I thought...
The federal lands was a good, I thought a good response by Obama, the explanation.
Well,
but drilling other places, we need to be drilling other places.
No, we don't. But I thought it was also interesting what Obama said. He got in the point about, they mentioned coal, and Romney said he's no friend of coal, and then Obama said, well, I just saw a film clip where Romney was standing in front of a coal plant and said, this kills people. We won't have any more plants like this. And that was when he was governor. But that's one of the many flip-flops.
That was a different Romney.
That was a different Romney. Then they went to reducing tax rates. And this was one thing where I thought it was really weird. When Romney said that he's going to help the middle class because there will be no tax on dividends, interest, or capital gains.
And you and I talked about that earlier. That's one of the disconnects that Romney has. And the fact is people working class individuals, middle class individuals, they don't have huge capital gains.
Or
It's
any.
not-
Or any.
Or any in many cases. And there's a disconnect with him, with average people. And you know, I mentioned it goes back to like the $10,000 bet he wanted to make with Governor Perry on an issue during a debate. And just regular people don't bet $10,000.
If he had bet a cup of coffee, if he had bet something like that, you could understand $10,000. I'll bet you $10,000. Then, wait a second. That's when I've got Romney loses it, because that was one of the points where he was starting to try and impose control and stuff. Then they got to the inequalities in the workplace, and that's where Obama said, I'd sign legislation and Romney pulls this whole thing out about his cabinet and binders full of women.
I wanted to get more women in his administration when he went in. And he made a reference that I didn't catch at the time about that he had binders. They provided him with binders of women. I'm sure he meant to say binders of women's resumes, but it sounds funny.
You're sure?
I'm sure he didn't mean the women were actually in the binders.
Well, I mean...
And you and I have talked about that, too. I just find the whole... where we're playing gotcha, trying to get people where they misstate something and make a big deal out of it. And Joe Biden the other day talked about how Ryan was part of the Young Guns and how he was firing bullets at people or something like that. The people he's firing bullets at, or he is firing bullets at, is youth. And so, people are very touchy about guns and bullets now. So.
Well, yeah, which is an odd thing because in terms of gun control,
they both ran away from that issue.
Yeah, but Romney didn't just run away. He went to a different topic altogether. He made it sound as though gun control was related to women's health care or something. It's like
Democrats have got burned in an election a few cycles ago about where every person who supported gun legislation, gun restrictions, got lost. I mean, it was a very bad election. The thing is, guns are one of those issues where the people for pro-gun rights, they all go out and vote on that issue. While people on the other side don't. I'm sorry. I need to stop tapping on the table. The people on the other side just don't vote on the issue.
Well, then they were asked about the failings of the Bush administration and the biggest difference between Romney and Bush.
I thought Obama did good there. He said, well, Romney in many ways is more conservative than Bush.
Yes, more extreme, I think he was talking about.
I'm sure he did say conservative.
Well, and Romney was saying, I know how to make that happen. He's never said how he's going to make jobs happen. His business experience was in purchasing functioning businesses and then picking them apart.
Well, I don't know if they were functioning.
Some of them were.
Some of them were functioning very poorly.
Some of them were functioning very well. That's why he picked them up really cheap.
If they're functioning very well, why would he pick them up cheap?
Because their value was actually greater than the stock reflected. And so that's what venture capitalists will do, is they'll come in and find something like that, pick it up for a song, and then sell off all the assets and take loans on the stuff, and then close the place down. Then China was mentioned. And
China was hammered. China was the loser of the debate. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, but here's the thing. When they talk about wanting to make China a currency manipulator, have China designated a currency manipulator, that brings into effect a whole bunch of provisions in federal statutes that really kind of jack with China. And it's like, I'm not a big fan of China, but, I mean, it's a dictatorship. A lot of people are being harmed. I don't think we should have the Olympics there, and I don't think, yada, yada. But you don't encourage them as a trading partner and then turn around and call them a monetary manipulator.
Yeah, and I think maybe Clinton and Bush both have rejected labeling China as a manipulator.
Even though they might be. You just don't do that.
It was not in our best interest to do so.
And then was the exchange on Benghazi and foreign security.
Which you and I may disagree, but Romney was completely correct. But Candy Crowley made it sound like, okay, on the day afterwards, I'm trying not to hit the table, he goes out and said, we're going to investigate this, we're not going to stand for terrorism. He did not say Benghazi was terrorism. It took 2 weeks for them to say Benghazi, what happened to Benghazi was terrorism. Candy Crowley was totally incorrect in saying that he said it was that day terrorism. He didn't say that.
He said that we would not allow terrorism to...
Right, but he didn't say what happened to Benghazi was terrorism. He made a general statement.
Okay, we're at the end of this segment. We'll be right back. Right back.